I've read so many books about reverse causation because a lot of health books, they kind of make you understand that concept really early on, otherwise you won't understand anything about health. And one of the biggest examples of this is obesity. So many people swear up and down that they had hormonal issues first, or their thyroid betrayed them, or whatever excuse they use now, and then they got fat. But let's be real, 99% of the time, they got fat first, and then those health issues started showing up. It's like people want to believe some invisible force cursed them with weight gain. No accountability, no awareness that their daily habits made them that way. Because if they admit that, then they'd have to do something about it. This is exactly why victims love reverse causation. It's an easy way to blame anything and everything but themselves. So, what is reverse causation? So, it's when people flip the cause and effect to avoid responsibility. They take something that happened as a result of their action and pretend it was the reason they're struggling. They convince themselves that they're just unlucky, that the world is against them, and that nothing they will do will change their situation because it's genetics. So, often what you'll hear is, I have hormonal issues, that's why I'm fat. But what actually happened is, you got fat first, your body developed insulin resistance, your metabolism slowed down, and now you have hormonal issues. Another frequent one you'll hear is, it's my genetics, my whole family is big bone. What actually happened is, your whole family eats the same high calorie diet and doesn't move much. And then everybody is overweight, and then you think it's genetics, but it's just a shared lifestyle. And another one, the classic one, is I have thyroid issues, so it's impossible for me to lose weight. What actually happened is, being overweight puts stress on your endocrine system, which affects your thyroid, and now you have a slow thyroid because you gained so much weight. People always pick the version of the story that makes them the victim, because if they admitted the truth, they'd have to change something, and nobody wants to do that. And I just want to list more informations, or more examples, of reverse causation in everyday life, not just obesity, but another one is about money and success is rich people had better opportunities growing up, and that's why they're successful. But what happened is rich people became successful because they made good financial choices. They saved, they invested, and they worked smart. Even the people before them did that. Meanwhile, the same people making excuses, they spend every paycheck on fast food, subscriptions, and microtransactions. They finance a phone instead of saving for their phone. They take out loans for a degree they don't even use. They don't see that the rich got rich by making better decisions, not because they were born lucky. And I can say this confidently because I grew up poor. I grew up with nothing. And when I grew up, well, there was a family member, and as soon as I hit 18, they made me go to the bank, open a student loan, and give them all my student loan, like all the credit available in cash. Okay? And today, everything is paid off, everything is taken care of by myself because I made better choices. And I did not let my family members affect me because they have no intentions of saving money, they have no intentions of getting better, and we're screwed by the system and we can't get up. It's not our fault. So, yeah. And another one you'll hear often in dating and relationships is men only want hot girls or supermodels or whatever. And that's why I'm single. But what actually happened is they don't take care of themselves. They don't put effort in. They have a terrible attitude. They got rejected first, and instead of improving, they blame men. Or another one you'll hear all the time is all men are trash, they always cheat. What actually happened is you have terrible taste in men. You ignore red flags. You keep dating the same type of men, and now you think all men are like this. And so instead of having self-awareness, they pick victimhood. Or another one I hate to hear is, I have ADHD, I can't focus on anything. But what actually happened is they scroll for 8 hours a day, never discipline themselves, they don't have any structure in their life, and now their brain is addicted to distraction. Like, ADHD is real, but 95% of the people, they're just overstimulated. Like, they've never practiced discipline, and then they wonder why they don't have discipline or attention. Like, that's a skill you have to learn. And if you indulge yourself in just scrolling on your phone, of course your brain is not going to need it, so they're going to just put it aside. Why would it need it if you're telling your brain you don't need it by scrolling 8 hours a day? And this one I hear it from office people all the time is, I have no energy and that's why I don't work out. What actually happened is you don't work out, your body stays weak and sluggish. Now you have no energy because you don't work out. This is literally how fitness works. You don't get energy first and then work out. You work out and then your energy increases. They flip it so they can stay lazy and feel justified. And a lot of people love playing the victim because it's easier than taking responsibility. So if they admit they caused their own problems, then they have to do hard work to fix it. And if they admit their weight gain, their debt, and bad relationships are their fault, they can't blame anyone else. And if they take control, they have no more excuses. And most people are too scared to take responsibility for their life. They rather just stay comfortable in their suffering than push themselves to grow. If you want to stop playing the victim and actually improve your life, you need to see through your own BS. So step 1, so you're going to have to ask yourself hard questions. Get a notebook right now if you're one of them and pay attention. Did I really fail because of bad luck, or did I not try hard enough? And this one is important because I've read the book, The 4 Agreements. If you haven't, this is a life-changing book. You need to read it. It covers the fundamentals of how you should navigate life. It's pretty simple. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personal. Try your best for everything. And then there's a 4th one I can't think of. But basically, everything in life right now, you should do your best. So that way, you don't have regrets later on in life. Because if I'm 40 and I did my best my entire life, why would I have regrets? I did my best. But let's say you did not do your best. You could have done better. You could have lost weight. You could have done so many things. You're going to have regrets. So that's why it's really important to know if you try your hardest every day. Are you pushing yourself to the limit? And you also have to increase that limit. Like most people that are super depressed and they can't go outside, maybe they start with brushing their teeth first. You know what I mean? And then you push a limit. Now they can do a 5-minute workout in their room. Now they can do 20 minutes. You push a limit. Another question you have to ask yourself is, are you really struggling because of genetics, or it's your lifestyle issue? So you have to remember that your genetics, they're not more powerful than your lifestyle. So if you have poor genetics and you have a good lifestyle, your lifestyle will overdo your genetics every single time. That is a fact. I mean, you can just Google it. It's just how it is. As soon as you hear someone say, it's my genetics, then you know they live in victimhood. For sure. Another question you can ask yourself is, did that person actually have an advantage, or did they just make better choices? And I've had a lot of people around me that just made a bunch of poor choices, and to this day they just think they're unlucky. But sometimes they describe me their lives and I'm like, wait, why'd you do that? That was obviously dumb. And then with that dumb choice, they did another dumber choice, and then a dumber choice, and then a dumber choice. And I have no empathy for people like that. I'm not even gonna lie. I know this woman that when she was 18, she started going to college. And that was 30 years ago. I don't know how normal that was at the time, but her man went to campus where she was at, and he was not attending campus, by the way. And he started talking to her, and he lied and say, we're the same age, or 2 years apart, something like that. So he pretended he was almost the same age as her. Turns out 4 months later, she found out that he was 10 years older than her. And you'd think a normal person would just walk away from that, right? No, you're wrong. So she had kids with them. And after that, he became violent because he didn't have a job. He was a dusty bum. And she had to walk away from him. And now she's a single mom. And any normal person would think, you did bad choices. But a lot of people, they get in those situations, they turn into baby mamas or whatever ghetto thing they do, and then they really think they got unlucky or someone switched up on them. Instead of recognizing that there was obvious red flags and they just ignore them. Some people actually think they're bad lucky. And that's a concept I'll never understand. It's like life happened to them instead of them making life happen. And I think that's a huge difference between two kind of people. There's the people that make life happen and other people that let life happen to them. And okay, so step 2, after you answer those questions, for step 2, take control of what you can change. If you're overweight, fix your diet and move. If you blame genetics, you're just taking 30 years off your life. Like, you're not being smart about this. Like, I'm sorry. And also, again, I say this on almost every overweight or fat video I make. You're heartless if you're staying fat. Are you expecting people around you to take care of you because you did bad choices? Are you planning to pay more medical bills because you wanted to have an extra burger? Like, you're living on a diet that could feed 3 people, and then you're blaming your genetics. That would mean your grandma or grandma in like the 1800s would be also fat, which is not the case. You know it as much as me. It's not genetics. So if you're overweight, just fix your diet and move on. Stop being a victim. If you're broke, stop spending money on things you don't need. And I feel like every broke person I came across, they have no budget. It stresses them. It's too hard. Even though they could just look up a budget online or ask ChatGPT to make a budget, they choose to stay broke. It's a choice. If you're broke, it's a choice. Like, I made the choice that I was in a poor family. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do a degree that makes money. And that's going to solve most of my problems. And it's so interesting because most broke people I come across, they always say money will solve all their problems. Yet, they do all the worst choices financially to get in a worse situation. Like, they get credit cards and max them out and then say, oh, money would solve all my problems. No, not spending money would solve all your problems. You'd have income. You'd have money. Ugh. If you're single, work on yourself instead of blaming men. That's another one. I feel like all the ladies, they're just not a pleasure to be around. Straight up. And I'm like, oh, I see why you're single. I see why. Like, you really have to be self-aware. And I say that because I used to be super unself-aware. Like, oh, that's another video for another day. But when you're single as a woman, that's actually, like, hard. It's hard to be single because there's so much demand for you and you're pretty much a catch for most men. If you're not a catch, there's something wrong. I'm sorry. Like, if I was single after 35, like, as a woman, just think of men. Men think women are in high demand. Everybody wants them. And they see you single at 35. They're going to assume, wait, what's the catch? Something is wrong. I'm just being so for real right now. You do not want to end up at that age and then you're single and then people think there might be something wrong with you because if you're such a catch, you'd be married by now. So yeah, I know this is harsh, but I think a lot of ladies, they lack self-awareness. And if you're not sure where to start, you can just go on ChatGPT and tell them, can I have questions about gaining self-awareness? And yeah. And if you're the type of person that makes excuses for everything and you don't like your own company, well, you already know what's wrong. You know where to start. And lastly, if you're lazy, fix your daily habits. A lot of people, they don't amount to anything. They regret their life when they're 40 or 50. And then they realize that their habits is who they are. And then they have crappy habits. So you have to fix that ASAP because at the end of the day, your entire life is in your hands. Nobody's going to come here to rescue you. Like, no man is going to come and rescue you. I'm sorry. Like, you have to be stable and healthy and everything by yourself. You should not rely on anything external because when you rely on external things, that's when you get disappointed. So yeah, I know some people will hate hearing this, but if you're struggling, you need to ask yourself, is this really happening to me or did I create this situation? What could I have done better? Most of the time, you've created it. And if you create it, you know what that means? You can fix it. And that's the difference between winners and victims. One take control and the other one makes excuses. Which one do you want to be? I know I was 20 or I guess 19 and I knew I had to do something to better my situation. I knew I had to improve my looks. I need to level up my money. I knew I had to start getting smarter, reading, and I started going to the gym. So I had no resources, but I made it work. You know when you're a kid and like you're playing like pretend or role playing or whatever, and in your eyes, let's say you want a couch, but you don't have a couch as a kid, you'll make a couch with whatever you find around you, right? You'll try to make it work. I think as an adult, most people lose that skill, and you have to make things work with what you got. And that's what I did for the longest time. And now I'm in a super, super comfortable position that I can do whatever I want. Because I work with what I got, I sacrificed a few things, and I knew at 40, I'd be happy with who I am. Straight up. And if I was still broke and I just blamed the system and I lived off the system, I'd be a mega loser today. Like, I'm just being for real. I'd be the lowest tier of women. I'd be probably still fat, not going to the gym. I would not be reading books at all. I'd be super uneducated. And I would not be a pleasure to be around. Who wants to talk to people that don't have their life together? Nobody. It's a downer. It's a I want to say an eyesore, but it's a presence sore or something. But yeah, this is the hard truth. And if you have other hard truths or any of them resonated with you, or you've had a similar experience in the past, let me know in the comments. I love you guys' comments. And yeah, if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you ladies in the next video. Bye bye.